All right, guys, sorry about that. I guess my screen went completely dead. Everything went dead. I use a software called Ecamm, and every once in a while I have these problems with it. I love it, but then there are huge problems that abound with it. So I'm hoping you guys can find me back here. Now I'm back on YouTube and back on Facebook. This is just to wrap up the my live, which I apologize kind of went dead. I guess you could hear me, but you couldn't see me. So I apologize about that. There's nothing I can really do, but I'm hoping some guys, you guys, there you go, 3 of you guys are back in. You guys were smart enough to look back and try to find me, which I really appreciate. Hang on one second. I'm going to put everything back up here, my screen, so I can see everything, because that will help me see you. Give me 1 second here. Let's see here, displays. We got to find that. Displays. Okay, thanks for coming back in. I really, really appreciate that. And again, my deepest apologies. I don't know why it happened. It could be a million different things, but I am back. Okay, there we go. And now I'll add my screen. This will give us another, or I'll go through my last 10 minutes, and hopefully I can get you guys back to where we were. So let me put this over here, and my comments, and then we're good to go. There we go. Okay, there's my comments. So I'll readdress things. Okay, so it's just you guys here. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll go another 20 minutes or so. I'll go over into my. Alan is very kind. He's telling me people were okay with just the audio. I don't know why the video froze up. It could have been my little ATEM mini thing, but again, I'm not I'm not that technical. I'm really good at talking. Really good at training dogs, but these technical things always kind of trip me up. So, yeah, let's go a little bit longer. We're back. Kristen, thank you for that. Okay, so I'm glad you heard everything I say. I really, really appreciate that. So Amy has a good question. How do I determine real aggression? And that question there, I'm going to put this back here. Again, all these issues here going on. Aggression, people always say the dog's not aggressive, he's reactive. If a dog is reacting aggressively, then he's aggressive, right? I need to look at the overall picture of the dog. What is the dog's goal in this behavior that he's doing? Is his behavior as such that he wants to kill the other dog? Is the leash merely holding him back and protecting him? Or is the leash protecting the dog from killing the other dog, right? So what I need to look at, and this is where I think the whole crux of this conversation is headed. I think so many people that we're seeing nowadays that are trying to solve aggression don't understand the dog. They're either just babying the dog and goading the dog and trying to reward the dog for the second he does something proper, or they end up correcting a dog and creating more frustration in the dog and more confusion in the dog. The way I determine if a dog is aggressive, I look at the overall picture. The exact same thing I would do as if I was in a bar and somebody was talking smack to my face. Is this person somebody I need to really worry about? Is this person going to grab a knife and try to stab me? Is this person going to try to attack me and punch me and kick me or whatever? Or is this person just talking smack? There are dogs that will just whoa, 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 whoa. And then when they get up to the dog, then they bow and they're playful, right? Conversely, there are also the dogs that are very quiet, and then when they get up to the dog, they just rip into him. You must understand dog body language, dog behavior, and such to help a dog, to train a dog, to get the dog to understand what you need. It's critical. It's really, really critical. And I think that's what's going on where people don't get that. Okay. Elena, yeah, I'm back. CJ, thanks for coming back. Is aggression a emotional response? Lori, fantastic question. It can be, right? So if a dog is, there's an old saying, and I believe it, aggression is always a reactive action. It's not proactive. It's not, some dog doesn't just do it. But there are some dogs that just do it. They're just triggered, and that's just who they are. That's the only thing they know. They're just bad dogs. Now, that would be the lowest percentage of dogs that you'll see, 100%. Those are the lowest percentage of dogs are dogs that are just naturally aggressive. They will just go aggression, 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 aggression. Most aggression is either something that is a learned behavior, dog was not socialized properly, dog is unsocial and responds reactively or aggressively because of that. Or a dog was attacked and so therefore is defensive, is worried about things, is very neurotic. That's another behavior. So those things determine how we need to look at this treatment of the aggression, right? Some dogs, when we take dogs who are, for example, if you want to take a dog and make the dog a protection dog, whether it's a sport protection or a real protection dog, I don't care. Then we need to teach the dog about suspicious movements, suspicious behaviors. We need to teach the dog confidence. And that's something you'll see early on with somebody like, Steve Stoops. Watch him train a dog. Watch him work with the military dogs when he first starts getting that light coming on. When they first open, he calls it opening that door just a little bit. That behavior is trained. The dog learns that, I bark, I move forward, this guy runs away, builds confidence. Now, if that's used improperly, for example, like with food reactivity, right? If the dog is reactive to the bowl and I take the bowl and I go to grab for it and then he barks and I go away from it and then he goes, that made you go away. It's a different behavior. Teaches the dog something's weird. Why would you move away from the bowl when I bark? Or I teach the dog, I'm going to put a lot of pressure on you when you're doing a certain behavior, right? Those are things that start to instill in the dog a different kind of emotional response to things. Okay, let's see. Okay, sniper dog. I'm not understanding. Okay, sniper dog when tethered, sleeping, relaxing, jumps up to worry folk walking by, typically from behind. Territorial management tips: do muzzle and close spaces. Late correction due to speed of hit. Sniper dog when tethered. I'm missing it. I'm saying you're sleeping, relaxing, jumps up to worry folk walking by. So you're saying that a dog is sleeping and people walking by and the dog jumps up and responds. So this is probably, from what I'm reading, from what you're saying, a dog with thin nerves, right? A dog that's having an issue with reactivity. The dog responds, oh my God, everything is worrying. And then based on that response, we're looking at how does the dog respond to it. So a dog, just like a person, I spook somebody, I go, hey, and then they jump up and they go, oh my God, and they, oh my God. Or I spook somebody and boom, they clock you, right? That will depend on the dog. But this is a situation of thin nerves. We use a startle response in a temperament assessment to see how the dog's going to respond to that. And everybody does a startle response, whether it's just a regular temperament test, where like an AKC or a puppy assessment test, or is it something more military? But I want to see how a dog responds. All dogs should have a startle response. We don't want a dog where something crashes and then the dog goes, no, that was nothing. I want a dog to go, oh, okay, that was that. But I don't want a dog who's going to go, whoa, whoa, oh, and starts backing up and becoming totally neurotic, or a dog that goes, what was that? And launches in to kill. I want a balanced response. Okay, Olga, and I'm going to go a few minutes over. It's going to cut into my members live, but I'm sure the members will see this, and hopefully many of the members are already here. How would I introduce a new pup to a household with a German Shepherd like Maya when you do know it can trust? When do you know you can trust your dog after a crate period? You're going to see relaxed behaviors, right? If you have a dog like, okay, Maya, for example, was very much a dominant dog. She would take control of things. Now, when we brought Dwayne into the house, he was a young 8-week-old puppy and a very lovely puppy. In the beginning, Dwayne was crated, and he would only come out. We'd go on walks, and a couple of times she would growl and lunge at him. But remember, she's a very dominant female dog. So I started watching for her behaviors, and her Initial behaviors when she saw him. Now again, she's been bred twice, so she understands puppies. She's no stranger to puppies. It's rare that an adult dog will attack a puppy. If they do, it's a big, big, big problem, right? If a male dog attacks a female dog, it's a big, big, big problem. Female dogs will be bitchy. They'll be very snappy. They'll be more apt to like just run up to a dog. And she did that. She would run up to Dwayne if he was running around having too much fun. She was the fun police. She would just run up and go, and pin him down. And he would go, okay, fine. Okay, I got it. Because he was raised by a really nice mother. He was very well bred and well reared. I watch for when that starts to subside. I know my dogs. I can control my dogs at a split second. I can control my dogs. I don't ever just let them go run around the house or in the backyard and hope everything works out. Body language is everything. And usually it's going to take about 7 to 10 days for the dog to be in a crate and the other dog to come up. And in the beginning, you'll see the posture stiff, the dog on the outside. And then that will relax more and more. And they'll start to lay next to those. They'll want to be closer and the body posture will change. And that's when I kind of can trust them a lot. Dean says, what do you think of these aggressive dog videos mentioning intact males? Well, I think it's BS. As soon as you tell me the dog is aggressive because he's an intact male, it tells me you don't know what you're talking about. Because I have 2 intact males in my house, and they're the least aggressive. Dwayne is the least aggressive dog you'll ever find. Right? He's not aggressive. Besides Jimmy. Jimmy is zero aggression, but Jimmy was neutered at 2 years old. Just because a dog has testicles doesn't mean they're aggressive. Just like because I have testicles doesn't mean I'm aggressive. And all my friends have testicles. I mean, my male friends have testicles, and none of us are aggressive, right? So just because we have testosterone, this goes back to something I talked about in the podcast and something that I heard on Joe Rogan said by Jordan Peterson. And he said, we should be savage. We should be killers and strong, but we should choose not to use it. And he said, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So I want, like Goofy and Maya are very, very strong dogs. I'm a very strong person, but I don't choose to exercise it. So yeah, just because a dog is, oftentimes I have seen more behavior problems in dogs that are neutered too early, males. And when females become neutered, a lot of times they become aggressive because it represses the estrogen hormone, which gives balance to the testosterone hormone. If a dog is reactive to one particular dog, is it an aggressive dog? No. An aggressive dog is reactive to it. It's just naturally aggressive. These are 2 dogs that don't get along, and that's different. Right? So that can be fixed unless they really have a deep-seated resentment towards each other. I had a client once who had 2 Australian Shepherds, and they just had such a deep-seated resentment towards each other. I said, you'll never fix it. And especially because it was 2 females. That's a big problem. How do I identify true aggression? Well, that's a very, very, per se, easy thing to do, but it's complicated for most people because you look at the overall personality of the dog. How does the dog respond to different dogs? Like if I took a dog in the shelter and I took him out with one dog and he didn't get along with it, another one didn't get along with it, another one didn't get along with another one, then I've got an issue. Now I want to see how that dog is going to respond to corrections and more information, right? Redirection. If he responds to that, then I think he's a nice dog. But if he doesn't, I think there's a problem. By the way, it's amazing. I got 145 people back in here after I crashed the last stream. So thank you very much for that. And like I said, be sure to check out my website, robertcabral.com, because there's tons and tons and tons of long lessons there where, here on YouTube and Facebook, you're going to end up seeing snippets of those lessons. I mean, sometimes they're 5 minutes long, sometimes they're 10 minutes long, but I can assure you that every video on my member section at robertcabral.com has an immense amount of more detail, a ton more, at least double to 3 times, sometimes 4 times as much. So, okay, Celie says, can you maybe explain a bit how to train with choke collar? Prong is banned in my country. That's a really, really long concept to explain, because I'm only going to do another 5 minutes here, then I have to go to my members live. You should really consider either my longer videos on YouTube or my member section, because it will give you all that information. And you can. I'll tell you, people say, oh, people aren't going to be able to train when prong collars and e-collars are banned. I don't care. I've got no problem with it at all. In fact, Larry Crone and I talked about it. Steve Stoops talked about it. I can train a dog without an e-collar. I may not be able to do as good of a job as if I want to get the dog to be a more, really sharp on point, but I got no problem. All I need to train a dog is a leash. A prong collar makes it easier. I'll give you a great example. I never gave this example before, but here's a brilliant example. Take away prong collars and e-collars, and really good trainers are still going to be able to train their dogs. Take away power steering. I'm still going to be able to drive a car. But a weaker person will not be able to drive that car. And a weaker person will not be able to train or handle a more dominant, powerful dog. That's it. It's really an ableist, statement to say, take this away. Greatest example I can give you. My friend Jerome, dear friend, lovely person, love Jerome, got a Rottweiler. Jerome's a big, strong guy. A couple months after he got the dog, he had a stroke. He had a double stroke. Lost all power in his right side of his body. It took him weeks to be able to walk and function again. Came to me, said, what do I do? And I said, we're going to teach your dog how to use an e-collar. Because that tool was not banned, Jerome was able to keep his dog. Jerome was able to train his dog, handle his dog, manage his dog, and his dog did not end up in a shelter or killed or given away to somebody else. Strip the tool, you'll hurt the dogs. So all those people who are in favor of that are morons because of that simple statement. I'm a dog trainer as well and also train rescue dogs. Fantastic. There's no better dogs to train than rescue dogs because they will pay off in spades. You will learn more from them than any other ones. Okay, glad you're back too. Claire, I would be terrified to let my dog loose and pray she doesn't attack another dog. Well, so you have to understand something there, Claire. If you're afraid of your dog attacking another dog, if you let her loose, you need to do more training, right? You need to train a solid recall so that if your dog gets loose, and this you're only going to be able to train with something like, a long line or an e-collar, because if you're afraid your dog is going to hurt another dog if it gets free, there's a wild chance that your dog could break off the leash, you could drop the leash, anything could happen. So you better make yourself accountable and train your dog. I know all my dogs, if they get loose, I can recall them or I can down them. And if I can't do that, I can't control my dogs. You must work for that. Okay, there's my friend. What would be your approach when training an older feral dog? So here's an important point about feral dogs. Oftentimes, now you're in the Philippines, so I know it's different for you, but many people let me give you the definition of what a feral dog is. A true feral dog is a dog that is twice bred out. In other words, like let's say my dog gets out, and after 3 years, my dog's not feral, right? My dog has feral tendencies, but is not truly feral. If my dog has a puppy, okay, that dog is still not considered truly feral because it's being raised by a dog who was socialized. But that dog, my dog's dog, will be considered truly feral. Now, that's just for explanation's sake. So when you have a dog that has feral tendencies, maybe the dog as a puppy was, set out and, lived in the wild, the first thing you need to gain with a feral dog is re-engagement, re-socialization. So you need to get the dog, no matter if it's truly feral, twice removed, or if it's has feral tendencies because of a circumstance. Circumstantially feral is what I would call that dog. It's been left outside. It hasn't been properly socialized. It still has the genetics. It still has the DNA of a socialized dog. So all you need to do for that dog is re-engage it, which is not hard to do. I never, ever, ever do that re-engagement, that re-socialization, that re-enactment in a uber dominant way. I do it in a very friendly, sociable, playful, calm way. So the more the dog sees me as being somebody who's calm, who's chill, who's easy, then I want that dog to understand it through trust. right? I'll build everything with structure and everything else later into the relationship. But at first, I need to make sure that the dog understands trust. And that's the first thing. Hand feeding, just being present in the presence of the dog, walking around and getting the dog to follow me. Those are things I do. I like moving, dropping food that comes close to me. I drop food. Most everything I've done with dogs that are circumstantially feral is always based on food. And I make sure the dog is very, very hungry. I don't feed dogs that are circumstantially feral without a behavior that I want, without conditioning something coming close to me or me being in his presence. Now that can be me being 10 feet away from the dog, right? It can be me being 2 feet away from the dog, but I don't right away go to touch the dog. I just want the dog in my presence. And I'll talk more about that in another series if you guys want. And all that equipment like crates, Ecolors, et cetera, is so stupid. Well, I don't know where that's coming from, Danny, but I would disagree strongly with that statement. When they're seething, yeah, that's very funny. That's how I know they're aggressive, right? Maddie says, how do you eliminate dog whining, seeing other dogs that try correcting, redirecting the whine? Yeah, so once you have a dog that whines, and Maya is one of those, and Maya is a whiner, you will not ever get rid of whining through pressure, right? So when the dog whines, if I go, stop it, then they go, because the whining is a relief of their stress, of their insecurities or their excitabilities. And when you put that pressure on, then there's more stress and the whining increases more. So the best thing you can do a whining dog is either ignore them or try to get them to just go to a down, a kind of a calm, chill place, and that will work. But yeah, pressure will never do it. Okay, I'm going to do this as the last question, then I'm going to run over to my members live. Okay, I had a lab mix from a shelter. He was easy to train and basic, very obedient, but very protective. Had to put him down after he bit a second child. Hardest decision to make. Could I have done more? No. I'm going to tell you right now, you did the right thing. And anybody who tells you, oh, you should have tried this, you should have tried that, is an idiot. You made the hardest decision of your life. You rescued a dog, you trained the dog, but in the DNA, in the hardwired DNA, like we talked about in the podcast with Avicon, when the sperm hit the egg, that dog had a screw loose, right? Yeah, he was obedient to you. Yeah, he sat, he did all those basics, but deep down, he had a problem that he couldn't work out. It couldn't be worked out through obedience. You did everything. You trained the dog, you socialized the dog, you did everything. But when he bit that first child, that would have been the time I would have considered it. Now, you gave him an extra chance. You put another kid at risk, okay? So I hope it was nothing bad. But Jack, I'm going to tell you, you did the right thing. And I know it wasn't easy, and I applaud you for it. Because there's a couple children around that are thanking you that you didn't do this. So, okay, Laura says, okay, yeah, so there you go. So there's a great example. There's a law approved in Spain to forbid e-collars, but it allows you to euthanize a dog if the behavior is dangerous. It's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You know, here maybe you can manage things or do things, but you know, it's very, 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 very sad. And I'm going to end on this one, Kavita here, because it's a great question. Zach George, and this is not only Zach George, there's a lot of people say they only use science-based methods, new science shows, ... First of all, there is no new science. Science is always evolving. If you look at a great example, the Earth is flat, the Earth is round. The Earth, you know, the sun moves around the Earth moves around, the planets move around the sun. You know, masks are horrible, masks are great, masks are horrible. Vaccines work, vaccines don't work. There's so much. That's why people say they're practicing medicine, right? Doctors say they're practicing medicine. It's the truest statement. There is no one science in dog training. If you look at the true science of dog training, you're going to go back to the Skinner theory. And in that, you're going to look at a individual who's not a dog trainer, who more dog trainers quote, but no, he never trained a dog in his life. All these people in this realm have never put an obedience title on a dog. They've never rehabbed an aggressive dog. They've never taught a dog anything, but they're scientists. And there's a context to science. Science will show you all the facts. For example, the 4 quadrants are positive punishment, negative punishment, positive reward, negative reward, right? So what he's saying, and all these trainers are saying, is they're using one of the 4 quadrants. So they're using 25% of science-based training. And the new science-based training is that it's only one way. That's very problematic. You are discounting and throwing away 3/4 of science when you say you're a science-based dog trainer, because I'm a science-based dog trainer, and the science shows that sometimes corrections work better than rewards. And that, my friends, is where I'm going to end this chat for you guys and tell you that thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for advocating for dogs. Thank you for being a reasonable person who can make the world a better place for dogs. That really is my goal. My goal is to make sure that dogs have a safe place in society. God bless all of you guys. I'll see you real soon. Make sure you subscribe to me here on YouTube and Facebook, and check out my website, robertcabral.com, for my member section and all the best online dog training tools to make a better place for dogs. God bless. Take care. See you soon.